I want to talk about an idea that I believe is worth sharing. And I believe this idea can actually change the world in some pretty fundamental ways. What I work on every day is I want to change the way that we measure success. Now, I'm not talking about success in our educational institutions or success at work or success in government. I'm talking about success and how we measure it at a societal level, which I think is actually pretty flawed. And as we start to uncover the inequalities that exist within our society and the impacts of crony capitalism on our way of living, we start to recognize that there needs to be a fundamental shift and change in the way that we measure success, and for it to happen at a basic level of human behavior, economics, and shared well-being. And this idea that we've developed is something we call the good economy. The good economy is based upon doing positive actions every day to cause shifts in society for the greater good. And I'm going to talk about this whole concept in a few moments. I actually just want to share a little bit more of a personal background and story. I started my first software company when I was 13 years old, actually shortly after coming back from space camp, so the inspiration was here. And my brother and I started this company, and we wanted to build software that really, we just wanted people to use it, and we wanted to make some money. That's the only thing that mattered to us at 13. And we built some software in this area called shareware. Does everybody remember what shareware is back in the day before the internet? And shareware, if you remember, it was this technology that you basically limited your software so that people couldn't use it until they purchased it. And so often one of the ways that you would limit the technology is it would time out after 30 days. And so we came up with the brilliant, I think it was probably the smartest thing I've ever come up with ever, was this awesome piece of software called Shareware Not that would set your clock back before you ran the other piece of software that would then allow you to use that software forever. This resulted in hate mail and a bunch of other problems, but we sold a lot of it, and it was a lot of fun. It got more serious from there, though. We actually built real technology. Some of the technology we built was self-healing systems that would actually fix computers automatically, and they all had a central theme, was to build technology that unlocked people's potential, allowed them to do what they really wanted to do, rather than fix computers, which is what we were trying to solve. After we sold that company to Computer Associates, I got a little bored of doing enterprise business software and decided to kind of take a left turn and do something completely different. And I always had a passion in neuroscience. And neuroscience, unlike software development, is really not something you can do in your basement without really breaking a few laws, I'm sure. So I remember a conversation I had with one of our advisors at the time, and he gave me this really important piece of advice. He said, when you're discovering a new skill that you want to go after, you really have to ask yourself a question. Do you want to be the restaurant owner, or do you want to be the great chef? And I decided at that time that I wanted to be the great chef. And so I convinced a professor at the media lab at MIT, without having any undergraduate degree, I convinced him to let me work in his lab and tinker in neuroscience and not break any laws while doing that. And I managed to convince him, and it was awesome. And so I spent 2 years at MIT tinkering with neuroscience technologies and building tools to find a treatment for epilepsy. But what it taught me is that you can use the power of the brain and the power of technology in the web to build something to change people's lives. And through having a family and growing and becoming more mature as an individual, I was constantly struggling with a work-life balance. And I figured I have to build technology to solve this. And so that's how some of the ideas came around with DailyFeats. So what is the good economy? We discovered at DailyFeats that the good economy is something that can be measured. It is something that can change the world, and we've developed a way to measure good that happens on a daily basis. Now, when you might think, okay, well, you've got this idea of measuring good, what does it really mean? You might shrug at that. And so one of the things that we think about is, imagine if I came to you and asked you, how was your day yesterday? And you said, it was okay, we kind of got some stuff done, I had a good day, I guess. That is a subjective analysis of the good that you did on a day. It's kind of like if you went to a Bank of America and you went up to the teller and said, how much money do I have in my account? And they said, you have some money. It's not a good objective measure of anything. We believe that there needs to be a better way to measure good on a granular level. And so when you want to measure good, how do you do it? One of the first things you need to watch out for is avoiding the pitfall of individual good versus global good. Individual good is what you need, your health and your peace of mind. Global good is what everybody needs: peace, security, freedom, happiness. Global good and individual good are not opposing of each other. You can achieve global good and individual good at the same time. When we break down the philosophies of this, we really look at things like the philosophical traditions that exist within spirituality that don't oppose individual good and collective good, but rather think of individual good as a sum of collective good. And this will make more sense as I get into what good actually means and how you measure it. So when you start to look at good, you need to break it down to its basic unit. And we believe the basic unit of good is positive action. Positive action in our vernacular at DailyFeats is what we call our feats. Feats are personal daily achievements. And you'll see in between my slides, I show you some images of what the types of feats are in DailyFeats. And when you break down an action into its basic unit, you have to assign a value to it. And that value in itself is what we call points. And when you do positive actions every day, you earn points. And those points totals can be used to do, for example, redeem a reward. So you can take your family out to a local bowling alley with the points that you earn at DailyFeats, or you can donate to a charity and support a cause that you believe in with those same points. But what we found is that what doesn't always count properly for people is that it's not just the impact of the good that you do every day, but it's the fact that you did the good. And you think about it, this kind of, I'll draw the analogy to work. When we work, it's not necessarily the fruits of our labor. It's not necessarily the money that we earn that brings sustainable joy. I think all of us kind of know this intuitively. Some of us might have experienced it. It has to do with the work itself. The work is the joy. And it's similar with doing good. Doing good every day results in that joy that you have in your life. And when you think about it's not the impact, it's the action. And so when we think about the mathematics of doing good, it's kind of simple. One good plus another good equals two good. There's not much calculus behind this, thank God. So when we think about what this means in the process of doing good on a daily basis, we actually think about how we can use that measurement of good to measure different parts of a nation. So when you have a measurement of good, you can measure both a lifestyle and a country. So we're all familiar with gross national product, and some of us may be familiar with gross national happiness from Bhutan, for example, where they survey people on an annual basis and develop a measurement of the happiness of a country. Well, why not have gross national good, which is a sum of everybody's individual actions on a daily basis that give us a representation of the success of a nation. Now, what that means is that every single action that you do counts, whether it's small or big, towards achieving the success of gross national product or gross national good. Now, when you think of good as an economy, it can actually be stimulated. So how does that happen? Well, we know this works because we can build the units around good that align it with what an economy is. Imagine like President Obama's jobs program. The jobs program is meant to stimulate jobs creation and stimulate the economy. Can you come up with a national goodness program to stimulate people doing more positive actions on a daily basis at a national level, both for themselves and within a community? The core truth here is that we all live in a very quantified society. Things are measured by counting. We count how much money we have, we count how many possessions we have. So why not apply that same philosophy to counting how much good we do in the world? It's possible with the system that we've developed at DailyFeats, like cutting fat. Now, once you can bank good, you can actually measure it, you actually have the motivation to create more good. The important principle behind all of this, though, is that its small actions make large change more attainable. And if you think of it as some of the weight loss programs that exist today, they all are based upon the core principle that doing small actions every day and celebrating those small actions allows you to lose weight over time. So instead of thinking that I need to lose 50 pounds, you may think that I only need to lose 1 pound every 2 weeks. That's the fundamental nature of successful behavior change programs, whether it has to do with weight loss or addiction rehabilitation or anything else. Now, that applies not only at an individual scale, but also at a national scale. So instead of trying to think about how we need to revolutionize the way that our financial system works, why not we also just think about the individual decisions that each of us can make every day on how we spend our money? It's those small good actions that lead to positive change on a wide-scale basis. So how can you actually encourage positive change to happen. If you're a Keynesian economist, you might think about adding government stimulus. So you add government stimulus that spurs consumer spending, which improves the economy. So if we were to do the same for the good economy, what would the stimulus be? Well, that's something that we've developed at DailyFeats, and we actually have 3 stimulus metrics. The first is this idea of challenges. Challenges are essentially a groupings of feats. So when I talked about feats, and you've seen some of them here, like cutting fat, or exercising, or spending time with your family, or flossing, or eating fruits and veggies, there are hundreds of things that you can do. A challenge brings all of these feats together and focuses your effort on a specific outcome. A challenge is a way for people to band together and find a way to help each other to achieve an outcome that changes their life, like cleaning up their neighborhood, or losing a lot of weight, or finding a more healthy lifestyle. We also look at social support. Social support is kind of like credit in the economic terms. So when in DailyFeats you do a positive action, you can get a prop from somebody. A prop is a point for you and a point for the person who gave it to you. So if you think about investing money, when you invest money in a bank account or invest money in a stock, you may get dividends from that investment. When you do a positive action with social support, that positive action can earn you dividends over time as people recognize and get inspired by your action and give you props. So this is a way to actually build sustainable change through something that's not just about me doing something and then letting it go, but actually me doing something as an investment in the future by having people be able to be inspired by my individual action. Like hugging somebody. Beyond challenges, social support, there is also rewards. Now, rewards are really important. Rewards allow you to translate your good actions into something that matters for your life. Rewards are kind of like a tax break, where when you get a tax break, you can use that extra money to go do something. You can either go buy products, you can put it into your savings account, you can go on a vacation. Well, rewards matter when they speak at the personal level, when they give you the ability to do the things that are important for you as an individual. So for example, in DailyFeats, you can redeem your rewards for points, or you can redeem your points for rewards that allow you to save money every day when you go to the supermarket, but also allow you to support charities, if you'd like, for causes that you believe in. So when you talk to somebody at a personal level with rewards, you can actually spur behavior change through that mechanism, like donating food. So social good is essentially a sum of its individual parts. Individual good and the collection of good are interchangeable. In order to build a transformative society, we need to allow us to measure good at an individual level, but allow it to work towards a collective change. So instead of some of us feeling that it's better that individual change happens through leadership, it's kind of odd to think that it actually happens through piecemeal efforts like eating better and volunteering every day. But that's the actual way that we change society. And when we think about what this means for direction, these changes, these positive actions that we do are not random. They can happen in a distinct and directed fashion. Just like the economic system needs to be understood, cajoled, directed, managed, the good economy needs to do the same. We need to understand how we can change people and direct them to change their lives in meaningful fashions. And that's the way that we can do this. So I'll give you an example. Take the obesity epidemic. The obesity epidemic that's spreading throughout the world, as we know, is not just due to corn subsidies and government policies. It's due to each and every one of us eating every TV dinner that we've eaten in the past. That has caused the obesity epidemic. And the only way that we're going to reverse that is for each of us to eat one apple at a time. It is the individual action that leads to that societal change. And for us to understand how to stimulate that action at an individual and collective level will make the change happen on a widespread basis. So when we think of making change happen, we have to think about the businesses that can support this. One of the models around DailyFeats is allowing businesses to support you in making this change happen in your life by doubling your points, by giving you a reward to make the change happen right away. These businesses recognize that their stakeholders are more than just the people who buy their products, but society in general. And they believe that their purpose in the world is more than just selling their products, but actually causing social change. It takes these businesses to promote systems like DailyFeats and other opportunities for people to do good every day. And it takes government to recognize that it can be stimulated and to remove any obstacles to achieve good. And it also takes each and every one of us doing one action a day that achieves good at a greater scale. Thank you.